This video went up early for YouTube channel members. So when I was a little kid, I loved pro wrestling. And now I'm 39 and I still love pro wrestling, but whatever, that's besides the point. But of course, growing up in the Northeast, the WWF was seen as the premier promotion, and that's all I really watched. I didn't start watching WCW until I moved to the South when I was like 10 or 11 years old. And, then like the NWO started up and stuff like that, and wrestling got cool again. But growing up, I loved pro wrestling. And during this time frame, the late 80s and early 90s, WWF got into licensing a lot of stuff. And of course, one of those things were toys. You had the LJN, which were the big rubber toys that were a little bit before my time, but my time involved the WWF Hasbro action figures, and I wanted every single one of these. And of course, my parents didn't have a lot of money, so I had two of them. But I love those two figures that I had. I would sleep with them. I would bathe with them. Like everything was done with those two figures. I had, of course, the Hulk Hogan figure, and I had an Ultimate Warrior figure that, for whatever reason, his head tasted like maple syrup because I would chew on it sometimes. I used to suck my thumb a lot when I was a kid. I don't know. It's just a weird thing. And like, I don't know if I dipped his head in maple syrup or like what happened, but yeah, his head tasted like maple syrup. But they're always something that I just absolutely loved. I love these figures. They ran till like 94. And like I said, I only had two. So as an adult, I started kind of getting more and more of these figures just because I thought they were so cool. They're really well done figures. They're from a time frame of wrestling where, many consider it to be kind of the golden era into the new generation of the WWF. And there was multiple series of these WWF Hasbro figures that came out. And then, I started noticing like I was getting closer and closer to having a full retail set of these. So, over the past couple of years, I kind of focused on getting a full retail set of these WWF Hasbro figures. And eventually I got them and I thought I was done. I'll splice in some footage here that I took on my camera on my cell phone here. And I thought I was done. And you noticed I'm saying retail figures because, of course, there are multiple variations. Now, they also came out with rings and stuff like that. I have all of the rings. I actually have a boxed ring. They came out with a King of the Ring ring that was probably supposed to be a Hulkamania ring because it's yellow. Why else would you make a yellow ring? But Hogan left to go to WCW, so they repurposed it as a King of the Ring. Some very interesting pieces within this Hasbro collection. But that's just the retail side of things. There were 3 mail-away figures in the United States that the only way you could get them was by filling out a card that was in like WWF magazine, sending in money, and they would send you the figure. So, of course, these have become very, very expensive over time. You might remember I did a video on the Hulk Hogan figure that I got that at that time was the most I had ever spent on a figure. That was in the bag, that was all original packaging and stuff like that, an extremely expensive action figure. Well, there were 2 more figures that were in the mail-away program as well. There was a Bret Hart and an Undertaker. Now, the Hulk Hogan was interesting to me because it was a variant that was the only way to get that variant with the attire that he was wearing. The Bret Hart one is kind of interesting because the only main difference is there is a purple heart on his attire instead of a pink heart. But there were some purple-hearted Bret Harts that came out alongside of the pink heart in the normal series, so it's kind of hard to tell. Now, I have a purple heart Bret Hart, and I'm not going to pay an extreme amount of money for a plastic bag to verify whether or not that is the, true mail-away for it. So in my mind, my purple heart Bret Hart, that is the mail-away. And I also have a pink heart one just to cover my bases. The Undertaker, that's something that's eluded me for a very long time because you can go on eBay, you can go on Mercari, you can look at the prices, and they are very expensive. Now, is there a visual difference with the Undertaker figure? There is. Now, it's very slight, but there is. There were 2 versions of the Undertaker that released. There was a Series 4 and a Series 8 version. The Series 4 version has very red hair because at that time, that was the Undertaker's look. It was very red. The Series 8 version has a much darker hair for the Undertaker, And that was really the only main difference between those two. But he also came with a coat. Now, the mail away figure looks pretty much like both of those, except it is a light brown hairstyle. And there is some eyeliner around the eyes. And, well, I caved. I had to have it. I had to have it. So now I'm showing you this so that I can write this off on my taxes, because I needed this figure. I spent a lot of money on this thing. A lot of money. You know, not New York City rent prices, but like Long Island rent prices. But it is a very, very clean figure. It is the mail away figure because it has the light brown hair and the eyeliner on it. And now it's like, I have them all. You know, it's such a weird thing, because I understand that a lot of you guys that are watching this video, you are not going to understand why, like, I have this and why I bought this and why I spent so much money. Let's see if I could put him in the shot. So much money on this. Like, why? What's the point? And to me, it's kind of like, you know, people as they get older and they get play money, like a lot of that play money has to go to like other things. You know, you got other things going on. But if you're single like me, you ain't got no kids like me, like that play money can just be like relive, you know, memories from your childhood. Buy the things that you wanted as a kid, but your parents couldn't afford. They did what they could. They got you what they could afford. But if you're in a position to kind of buy things like this, then, you know, why not? And it's not like this is going to diminish in value. You know, a game can diminish in value based on the marketplace and stuff like that. And I guess there is the chance that all of a sudden, you know, Hasbro's just become dirt cheap, but I don't really see that happening anytime soon, because a lot of these wrestlers, the memories of them still stay alive. So this is essentially the most expensive Undertaker action figure. Yes, he's not in the plastic bag, but that's like $6,000 for a plastic bag one, and that can go to hell. I am very happy with this. He is right there with my Hulk Hogan mail-away figure. Maybe I'll put the Purple Heart Bret Hart in there as well, just kind of as a flex. I have a little cube for it. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys this figure and talk about Hasbro's for a little while, because I love these damn things. Like, look how good it looks. It looks so good. Modern toys don't even look this good. It was an era of passion. All right, that's it. This video went up early for channel members. So enjoy the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.